All right. Today we are diving into something I think we all wish we had a little bit more of time
For sure.
and, specifically how to manage it better. That feeling of being constantly overwhelmed, like there are just never enough hours in the day.
Yeah,
Well, this deep dive into Master of Time by Rod Esteves might just be the answer
it might be.
you've been searching for.
Yeah, Rod Esteves is a serial entrepreneur and author
Oh, wow.
and a time management coach. And he's really made a name for himself by helping people unlock their productivity by mastering their time.
Well, it's great to be here discussing my Master of Time method. I'm open for any questions, and you can call me Rod.
Well, Rod, it's absolutely our pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, Rod, we're so excited you're listening in.
It's fascinating to discuss your insights directly with you.
So thanks for joining us, and please chime in whenever you feel like it.
We're both very interested to hear your thoughts as we go through this.
Yeah, so let's jump back in.
Okay, so what really grabbed us right away about your book, Rod, is
Yeah, you don't sugarcoat it at all.
no, you really don't.
You come right out and say, we humans are just not naturally wired for effective time management.
It's so true. We are just drawn to instant gratification.
Oh, yeah, quick rewards.
Not necessarily the long game that leads to real achievements.
Exactly. And that's where I think all the overwhelm comes in.
Hmm.
I felt personally called out when you listed the symptoms of poor time management.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unfinished to-do lists, procrastination,
Mm-hmm.
that constant feeling of being behind. I mean, who hasn't been there?
Right. It's not just a matter of feeling stressed, though.
Right.
It's about effectiveness. If we can't manage our time, we can't manage much else in our lives. Goals, relationships, even our well-being.
It all takes a hit.
It all takes a hit.
Okay, that's a little bit of a sobering thought.
Yeah,
But I get it. The time is our most valuable resource.
absolutely.
So where do we even begin to get a grip on it?
Well, Rod, in your book, you break down the types of tasks, and that's so helpful.
Yeah, that really resonated with me too.
You call them prevention of pain tasks and production of gain tasks.
I love that.
And understanding the difference between these two is crucial.
So prevention of pain tasks, those things we do to avoid negative consequences, like paying bills,
Yes, so the lights stay on.
doing laundry so we have clean clothes.
Exactly. They feel urgent, and often we get a false sense of accomplishment
Oh, for sure.
checking them off. But the trap is we can get stuck in this prevention of pain mode,
Oh, yeah.
constantly putting out fires without making progress on the things that truly matter.
And that's where those production of gain tasks come in.
Exactly.
These are the activities that contribute to our long-term growth, fulfillment, and reaching our goals.
Yes, working on a personal project, for instance.
Learning a new skill, even taking care of our health.
It's like your analogy of sculpting a
That's
masterpiece.
a great analogy.
So imagine you're an artist slowly chipping away at a block of marble.
Right.
Each individual chisel mark seems insignificant on its own, but over time, those consistent actions create something beautiful and lasting.
Wow, I love that.
It's the same with our goals.
Okay, I am so guilty of putting off those production of gain tasks.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind.
You lose sight of the bigger picture.
It is. And, our brains are actually wired to be drawn to those prevention of pain tasks
Oh, really?
because they offer that immediate sense of relief.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why distractions are such a problem.
Uh-huh.
Our brains are constantly seeking that quick hit of dopamine,
Oh, yeah.
checking social media, watching videos. These things offer instant gratification
But often leave us feeling empty.
and further behind on those tasks that truly matter
So how do we break free from this cycle?
and start prioritizing those production of gain activities.
You've got some pretty fascinating techniques.
Yes.
And one that really stood out to me was the power of the first 20 minutes of your day.
The first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It sounds surprising,
It does.
but there's actual science behind it.
Okay.
Those first 20 minutes after waking up, our brains are in the alpha brainwave state.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly does that mean?
So in the alpha state, your brain is more relaxed and receptive to suggestions.
Okay.
It's like a gateway to your subconscious mind.
Oh, wow.
And what you expose yourself to during this time sets the tone for the entire day.
Think of it as priming your mind for success.
Exactly.
So no more hitting snooze and scrolling through social media before even getting out of bed.
Right.
What exactly do you suggest we do with those precious 20 minutes, Rod?
Well, in the book, you recommend starting your day with intention.
Okay.
Eliminate the snooze button, which just throws you right back into a grouchy state.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, maybe engage in a few minutes of prayer or meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Read something inspiring, or even dive right into a production of gain task that excites you.
Okay. Anything that sets a positive and focused tone for the day ahead.
Exactly.
So it's like we're using that alpha state to literally program our minds for success.
yes, to overcome that natural tendency to get bogged down in those prevention of pain tasks.
I'm already starting to rethink my morning routine.
Good.
But what about the rest of the day? Once those initial 20 minutes are over, how do we keep that momentum going?
Well, Rod, you also talk about time tracking for success.
Yes, this technique is all about becoming aware of where your time actually goes throughout the day.
You suggest breaking down your day into 15-minute intervals.
And honestly, recording how you spend each one,
It does sound a bit tedious, but it can be incredibly eye-opening.
I can imagine. I'm a little scared to see where all my time actually goes.
Right.
But I can also see how it would help identify those hidden time wasters.
Yes, that we might not even realize are holding us back.
You're right, it's about gathering data.
And then using that information to make informed choices about how we structure our day.
Okay, like holding up a mirror to your time usage.
Exactly.
And how do you recommend we organize all this info?
You provide tracking sheet in the book that breaks down tasks into 5 categories:
Okay.
unexpected, urgent, important, delegable, and unnecessary.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's break these categories down a bit further
Okay.
and see how we can use this system to reclaim control of our time.
Let's start with those unexpected tasks,
Yes, those unavoidable interruptions that come up.
like a sudden urgent request from your boss or a family emergency.
Right, those curveballs that throw your whole schedule off track,
Exactly. It feels like there's not much you can do about those.
other than just roll with the punches.
You're right. It's about being flexible and adapting as needed,
But then we have urgent tasks,
which are often things we've let slide, causing them to become more pressing.
the dreaded procrastination monster.
Yeah.
That unpaid bill flashing red in your inbox.
Yes.
The deadline you completely forgot about. I'm guilty of letting things pile up.
And that's where tracking these urgent tasks can be helpful.
Okay.
By becoming more aware of how often we create these fires, we can break those patterns.
So it's about identifying those tendencies that lead to those last-minute scrambles.
Yes,
And finding ways to stay ahead of the game.
exactly.
I can see how that would be a game changer for reducing stress
Absolutely.
and creating a more peaceful workflow.
For sure. And then we have the important tasks.
Okay.
These are activities that contribute to our long-term goals,
Uh-huh.
but they often lack that sense of urgency that drives us to action.
The things that we know we should be doing but never seem to find time for.
Right.
That personal project that's been gathering dust.
Yes.
That online course you sign up for but haven't started.
They're important, but easy to push aside.
And that's where the delegable category comes in.
Exactly.
Identifying tasks that you can hand off.
Freeing up your time to focus on what you do best.
Delegation, a magic word many of us struggle to embrace.
It is.
But I can see how it would be liberating.
It is, especially if you tend to take on too much.
And then feel overwhelmed.
You don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And there are people willing to help if you just give them the opportunity.
And finally, we have the unnecessary category.
Yep, where those time-sucking black holes reside.
Activities that drain our time without offering value.
You got it. This category requires brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Mindless scrolling, binge watching, getting caught up in online arguments.
Those things.
Those things offer a temporary distraction, but ultimately leave us depleted.
Ouch, that hits close to home.
I know.
Those seemingly harmless distractions really eat into our time.
And you have a whole section in your book dedicated to those time killers.
Oh, really?
You talk about how smartphones, television, notifications hijack our attention.
I am definitely feeling that notification fatigue.
It's like we're constantly bombarded.
It's hard to know what to prioritize.
It's about reclaiming your agency in a world vying for your attention.
Right.
One strategy is setting boundaries.
Boundaries with our devices, inboxes.
Yes, maybe even with those chatty friends.
Exactly. It's about being intentional.
So maybe you check social media at specific times or designate focus time where you turn off notifications.
I love that idea of focus time.
It's like creating a sacred space for productivity.
Where you can shut out the noise.
Exactly. And another time killer is perfectionism.
Uh-huh.
That tendency to get so caught up in the details.
Right, that we never finish anything.
It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and embracing the idea of good enough.
That's a tough one for many of us.
It's about balance.
Yeah.
And that fear of not being perfect keeps us from taking action.
This whole conversation is making me realize how much our mindset impacts our time management.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's not just about techniques. Right.
It's about shifting our perspective.
You're absolutely right. And you drive home the point that mastering time is a decision,
Okay.
a conscious choice we make every day.
So it's not about some magical formula.
No.
It's about cultivating a mindset of intentionality,
Yes.
making deliberate choices about how we spend our time, even when we have no control.
It's about recognizing we always have a choice.
I love that. It feels empowering.
It is.
But let's be real. We all have days where we slip up.
We do.
where things don't go according to plan.
That's where your philosophy of mastering time as a decision comes into play.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect. It's about making a conscious choice.
So it's a mindset shift, not just techniques.
Exactly.
It's about taking ownership of our time.
Yes.
And choosing to use it wisely even when things are against us.
And those conscious choices become habits over time,
Okay, that's reassuring.
making it easier to stick to a routine.
What are some of the specific benefits when it comes to mastering time?
Effective time management leads to increased productivity,
Right, that's no surprise.
but it also allows us to pursue our passions,
Okay.
those production of gain activities that often get pushed aside.
Right.
It frees up time for things that are meaningful,
Yes, spending time with loved ones.
engaging in hobbies, taking care of ourselves.
That's beautiful. It's not just about getting things done.
No, it's about creating a life we love.
Exactly. And this brings us to one of the most powerful points in your book, Rod,
Yes,
that anyone can become a master of time.
with the right mindset and techniques.
It's not about some innate talent.
Right.
It's a skill that can be developed with effort.
It is.
It's empowering to know we're not stuck with current time habits.
You're not.
We have the power to change them.
Exactly. It's about taking small steps, being consistent, and finding what works for you.
So what are some small steps to start implementing this into daily life?
One strategy you recommend is batching. Instead of scattering similar tasks, try grouping them together.
That's a good one. I'm definitely guilty of constantly refreshing my inbox.
It's a productivity killer.
I can imagine.
Apply batching to other tasks, too.
I love that idea. It's like creating pockets of efficiency.
It is, and it reduces feeling overwhelmed.
Because you're not constantly juggling so many things.
Exactly. And another strategy is automation.
Oh, yeah.
Can you set up automatic bill payments or use grocery delivery?
Those are great. I'm already feeling less stressed just thinking about it.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And freeing up mental space to focus on those production of gain tasks.
Right.
Speaking of production of gain, one challenge is overcoming procrastination.
Procrastination, my arch nemesis.
Rod, you talk about a technique called temptation bundling,
Okay, that sounds interesting.
pairing something you enjoy with a task you've been putting off.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you only listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising.
That's brilliant.
It's like tricking your brain to do things it needs to by associating them with something good.
I can see that working for me.
It's a fun way to make less appealing tasks feel more motivating.
Right, but there are always time killers lurking.
Yes, ready to derail our best intention.
Let's talk about those time killers, those distractions.
That can suck hours out of our day.
It's a bit of a wake-up call.
They can be insidious.
Yes, and technology plays a big role.
Those smartphones, social media platforms.
It's like we're in a constant battle for attention.
So how do we fight back and reclaim control?
One strategy is setting boundaries with our devices.
Maybe designate specific times for checking social media?
Being intentional with our time. I am definitely feeling that notification fatigue.
I know.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with information, and it's hard to know what to prioritize.
It's all about reclaiming your agency in a world that's constantly vying for your attention.
Right.
And one of the most powerful strategies for managing these time killers is setting boundaries.
Boundaries with our devices, with our inboxes,
Yes.
maybe even with those well-meaning friends who love to chat our ears off.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. So maybe you decide to check social media only at specific times during the day. Or maybe you designate certain hours as focus time, where you turn off all notifications and dedicate yourself to deep work.
I love that idea of focus time. It's like creating a sacred space for productivity
Yes.
where you can shut out the noise and really get things done.
Exactly. And you know, another time killer that Esteves highlights is perfectionism. That tendency to get so caught up in the details
Right.
that we never actually finish anything.
Man.
It's about learning to let go of the need to be perfect and embracing the idea of good enough.
Oh, that's a tough one for many of us. I know I'm definitely guilty of overthinking and overanalyzing things sometimes, which just leads to procrastination and delays.
It's about finding that balance between striving for excellence
Right.
and allowing yourself to make mistakes and move forward.
Yeah.
Because often that fear of not being perfect
Mm-hmm.
is what keeps us from taking action in the first place.
This whole conversation is making me realize how much our mindset actually impacts our time management.
It really does.
It's not just about techniques and systems.
Right.
It's about shifting our perspective and creating a more intentional approach to how we spend our time.
You're absolutely right. And Esteves really drives home the point that mastering time is a decision.
Okay.
It's a conscious choice we make each and every day.
So it's not about some magical formula or perfect system.
No.
It's about cultivating a mindset of intentionality.
Yes.
About making deliberate choices about how we spend our time, even when it feels like we have no control.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we always have a choice,
Yeah.
even when we feel overwhelmed or pulled in a million directions.
I love that.
That's
It feels empowering to know that we have more agency over our time
We do.
than we often realize. But let's be real. Even with the best intentions, we all have those days where we slip up,
We do.
where things don't go according to plan. What does Steve say about those inevitable moments when we fall off the time management wagon?
That's where his philosophy of mastering time as a decision really comes into play.
Okay.
He emphasizes that it's not about being perfect. It's about making a conscious choice day after day to manage your time effectively.
So it's a mindset shift, not just a set of techniques.
Exactly.
It's about taking ownership of our time
Yes.
and choosing to use it wisely,
Yes.
even when it feels like everything is conspiring against us.
Exactly. And he talks about how over time, those conscious choices become habits, making it easier to stick to a productive routine, even when things get crazy.
Okay, that's reassuring. It's about building those positive habits that make time management feel less like a chore and more like a natural part of your day.
Right.
What are some of the specific benefits that Esteves highlights when it comes to mastering time? What are the rewards for putting in the effort? I mean, besides just feeling less stressed and overwhelmed all the time.
Well, he talks about how effective time management leads to increased productivity, which is probably no surprise.
Right.
But it also allows us to pursue our passions, the production of gain activities that often get pushed aside.
Right.
It frees up time for things that are truly meaningful. Spending time with loved ones,
Yeah.
engaging in hobbies, taking care of ourselves.
That's beautiful. It's not just about getting things done. It's about creating a life that we love.
Exactly. And this brings us to one of the most powerful points in the book.
Okay.
The idea that anyone can become a master of time with the right mindset and techniques.
I love that.
It's not about some innate talent or personality trait.
Right.
It's a skill that can be developed with consistent effort.
I love that message. It's so empowering to think that we're not stuck with our current time management habits.
You're not.
We have the power to change them and create a more balanced and fulfilling life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about taking small steps, being consistent, and finding what works for you.
So what are some of those small steps we can take to start implementing these concepts into our daily lives? What are some specific strategies Esteves recommends for tackling those prevention of pain tasks that often consume so much of our time?
Well, one strategy he highlights is the power of batching. Instead of scattering similar tasks throughout the day, try grouping them together. For example, designate specific times for checking and responding to emails rather than constantly interrupting your flow to peek at your inbox.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm definitely guilty of constantly refreshing my inbox, even when I know deep down there's nothing urgent waiting for me. It's like a nervous tick.
It's a major productivity killer. And it's not just email. You can apply batching to other tasks as well.
Right.
Maybe set aside a specific time each week to pay bills, run errands, or do all your meal prepping.
I love that idea. It's like creating those pockets of efficiency throughout your week.
It is.
And I imagine it also helps reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed
It does.
because you're not constantly juggling a million different things at once.
Exactly. And another strategy, as Steve recommends, is automation. Think about those recurring tasks that take up your time, but don't necessarily require your full attention. Can you set up automatic bill payments?
Oh, yeah.
Can you use a grocery delivery service to save time on shopping?
Those are great ideas.
Yep.
I'm already feeling less stressed just thinking about all the mental energy I could free up
I know.
by automating some of those mundane tasks.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And freeing up that mental space allows you to focus on those production of gain tasks that truly move the needle in your life.
I like that.
And speaking of those production of gain tasks,
Yes.
one of the biggest challenges is overcoming procrastination.
Ugh, procrastination, my arch nemesis. Any tips for tackling that beast?
As Steves talks about a technique called temptation bundling.
Okay.
It's about pairing something you enjoy with a task you've been putting off. For example, maybe you only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising,
Okay.
or tackling work project you've been avoiding.
That's brilliant. It's like pricking your brain into doing the things it needs to do by associating them with something pleasurable. I can definitely see that working for me.
It's a fun way to make those less appealing tasks feel a bit more motivating.
Right. What are some of the specific benefits Esteves highlights when it comes to mastering time? What are the rewards for putting in the effort? I mean, besides just feeling less stressed and overwhelmed all the time.
Well, he talks about how effective time management leads to increased productivity,
Right.
which is probably no surprise.
Right.
But it also allows us to pursue our passions,
Okay.
those production of gain activities that often get pushed aside. It frees up time for things that are truly meaningful, like spending time with loved ones,
Yeah.
engaging in hobbies,
Hmm.
taking care of ourselves.
That's beautiful. It's not just about getting things done. It's about creating a life that we love.
Exactly. And this brings us to one of the most powerful points in the book. The idea that anyone can become a master of time with the right mindset and techniques.
I love that.
It's not about some innate talent or personality trait.
Right.
It's a skill that can be developed with consistent effort.
I love that message. It's so empowering to think that we're not stuck with our current time management habits.
You know?
We have the power to change them and create a more balanced and fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's all about taking small steps, being consistent, and finding what works for you.
Well, this has been such an eye-opening deep dive into Master of Time. I feel like I've gained a whole new set of tools and strategies for managing my time more effectively.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. I think Esteves' approach is so refreshing because it's not about rigid rules or a one-size-fits-all system. It's about finding what works for you, adapting as needed, and making conscious choices about how you spend your time.
And ultimately, it's about creating a life that feels balanced, fulfilling, and aligned with our deepest values and aspirations.
Well said. It's about recognizing that time is our most valuable asset and using it wisely to create a life that we love.
And on that inspiring note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Master of Time. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question from Rod Esteves. How are you managing your minutes? Are you investing them or just spending them? Let that question simmer as you go about your day. It's a powerful reminder that we all have the power to become masters of time and to create a life that reflects our deepest values and aspirations. Until next time.
See you then.